Guys, welcome back to another episode of Not Afraid to Garden. So today we're going to be talking about, as you can see all around me, these are all ferns except this tree that I have here. That's the money tree. So we're not going to talk about that today. Today we're just going to focus on all of these ferns. So this is my collection of ferns. I think I'm just missing two ferns that I have in the other in the library, but I can't carry those here because they are awfully big. So today I want to just talk a little bit about each of these ferns. So and each of these ferns, you know, they require some type of attention or care. So they're all individuals. You know, I do handle each of them a little different than the others. So what I want to do is I want to start with my largest fern that I have here. And this is my fern tree. So I don't think you can actually see it too well from there. Let me move the camera a little bit over. So yes, guys, my fern tree here. So my fern tree, again, it's my favorite of all the ferns that I have, and I've had this couple of years. So the problem with the fern tree is that I take it outside and then I bring it back in again for the winter. So it goes through the changes of losing its leaves. This is actually the three parts of a fern. So just so you know, the frond is the leaf. You have the rhizome, which is what the new stem comes out of, and then you have the roots on the bottom. So so the fronds here, again, it goes through changes, but this one needs a lot of attention because it's got these little hairs on the spine here. You actually have to keep that very very moist. So you have to constantly spray them, and actually I forgot my spray bottle, but with the ferns I'm constantly just going around with the spray bottle and just spraying them in this area. And then they don't like to be completely dry. You'll see the difference, and again, I think that's probably what happened to this. These are in the greenhouse, so I need to water them more often, just to get out there more often. I'm not going out there as often because again, it's pretty cold out there, so I know I do have to get out there a little bit more. Their soil should be kept moist. Don't let it dry completely, but it shouldn't be also drowning in water. Those roots will definitely rot. So that's that one, and that's my favorite one. So then we come to, actually we come now to my Boston ferns. So I have two Boston ferns. So I want to move this a little bit to the side. So what I've done with this Boston fern is I put it in a flower pot with other plants. So as you can see, my pothos, it's like growing crazily here. And it's just, look at this. So it's just growing and growing, and I keep snipping the bottom, but it just keeps growing. So, so that's my pothos that I planted there also. And again, with the ferns, you want to make sure that that soil is kept moist. And then they have these little roots that they kind of shoot out to the side, and there's a whole bunch of them around. So what I do is I go around and I just spray these. They do like to stay nice and moist, make sure that they're not dry. Some of the leaves, you tend to, the little tiny leaves from the fronds will eventually kind of dry up if again, they're not being watered enough. So I think that's probably the problem that I'm having with this one here. So I also have a spider plant that I planted there, and I think I have an ivy somewhere around here. Can't find the ivy. But anyway, so this is the Boston fern. So I have this one, and then I also have that one there. That's the other Boston fern. So guys, that is my other fern there. And that one seems to be doing a little better. I'm sorry, the lighting is kind of not so great here right now, but there it is. And then I move on to my middle fern here, and this fern is called a, let's see guys, so that way you can see the difference between these. So this is a macho fern. So as you guys can see, this has a lot of growth. So you can see it is growing. This one's also in the greenhouse. So that one's doing pretty good there. And this one has larger fronds. As you can see, look how large they are compared to the Boston fern. See the difference? That one, Boston fern tiny. My macho fern is bigger. And this one again requires the same care, and then it also has those same other little roots that it shoots out, and those should be kept moist. So those are, again, there's my fern tree, Boston fern, and my macho fern here. Just grown so much in the greenhouse. It is in a great spot. And all these plants, again, as I mentioned, you guys, I'm always walking around with a spray bottle misting them. Okay guys, so now we move on to the other ferns here. So I have a staghorn fern here and at the end. And these are so unique because, again, you've got these fronds that kind of grow a little differently. They're not little individual leaves like that one. And then they also have something here that grows. It's called a shield. And that shield, again, they grow this shield, and if you're growing them in a, in a piece of board, I'll show you actually how you can mount these to showcase them. And the shield will actually latch on to that piece of wood, and then they continue to grow. And these plants grow big, I mean huge. These things can be massive. As you can see, this is one of the shields that it had. This was had for a while. And then this is one of the new one that he had. Not that new, but then now you have the new shield right here. So, and it's got another shield growing on this side here. Again, the soil should stay moist, and you should be spraying their fronds so that way they don't dry up. So I have this one and that one on that side over there. So that's two of those. And then this is my blue star fern. So blue is probably in because of the color that it has. It is, kind of like a lighter color than your typical green. As it's growing out, it's got a pretty kind of greenish blue color on there. And this one you can definitely see the rhizomes on here. So these clumps here, they're called rhizomes. And then the little, the fronds as it's starting from here is called a fiddlehead or crozer, if you wanted to call it that. So it's got a couple of them growing here. There's this tiny little one there. And as they get older, they'll either come off or you can snip that off. But look how beautiful they get, guys. This is probably one of the largest leaves that it has. And this one. Now I've had this one probably about, I'm going to say 2 years I've had that one. So those are my other ferns there. Then I have what you call a nest fern. Look at this one. Look at the way this one grows. Only because it looks like it's like a nesting fern, right? Where maybe a little bird or something's going to be able to come in here and be nice and cozy in there. So this one also, again, as I can see, I think I have to water this one. It's a little bit on the dry side. But look at the green as these fronds just grow. And it's got a couple of them in there that are growing out. But this one is really, really healthy. Look how nice this one looks. I bought this one last year, and it was definitely smaller. So these tend to grow quite a bit. So that's my nest fern. Actually, yeah, my nest fern, my bird nest fern. And I have two of these. So I have that one, and then let's see if I can pick this one up, guys. I have this one. So this one is definitely larger. Look how beautiful. This one is actually my bathroom because it gets the humidity there and the light and the heat that it gets in there. It just loves it. So this is definitely a nice one to have. This is the nest fern. And again, same care. Make sure that the soil is kept moist and it doesn't dry up. And then as you can see, on here, guys, but there's a little leaf there that's dry or then kind of yellow, and then just go around and just snip that off, and you'll be fine. And there's a little brown here. I think it went through the change when I brought it from the greenhouse, and that's why that one turned that color there. So but overall it is thriving in the bathroom, so it does like it there. Okay guys, so I'm going to show you the one that I have back here. And this one, I don't have the name of this fern. I bought this one a couple of weeks ago. The reason I bought it because it's so compact and it looks pretty different than all of the other ferns. So it looks like you're growing lettuce, and then some of the fronds here looks like the staghorn fern, just like this one here. So this one again, because it's a fern, you have to make sure that that soil is kept moist. And then when I spray with the bottle here, actually I'm going to show you. So as I spray this one, so what I have to do is I even have to kind of open up some of these fronds in there so that way the water can get in there. Because if I don't do that, the ones on the inside are eventually going to dry out. So that's the care for this one. Once I find out the name, I'll label it. And I will let you guys know what that is. So next we move on to, so let me show you this one. I don't have a name for this one either. But this one I just purchased a couple of weeks ago also. And then this container, look how beautiful that is. I picked this up at a consignment store. So they have a lot of unique things there. So, so visiting consignment stores is actually one of the best things to do, guys, because you're going to find unique things that you don't find in your average store, and you're going to save money. So again, this I believe cost me like $4, I think it was. So anyway, so I decided to showcase my plant here, this fern, and then I put the sphagnum moss in here so that way it doesn't dry out my soil. So again, I go with the spray bottle, and this one, it's a little bit more work because I have to keep that sphagnum moss moist and the plant. I don't want too much water in there, but I just wanted enough that, see, it's moist and it's not going to let that soil dry up. See that? See the sphagnum moss on there? Look how beautiful that looks. See the brown colors, the tans with the green, and then the container itself, right? So this is definitely one of my favorite containers there. So now we move on to my heart fern. So as you can see, it's called a heart fern because again the shapes are hearts. This one, I recommend that you guys, if you purchase this one, do not let that soil dry. The minute that soil dries up, your heart fern is going to dry up, and again, you'll have to struggle to be able to bring it back, and there's no guarantee. So the best thing to do is probably cut everything from the top. If it dries up on you, cut everything completely from the top. Continue to keep that soil moist, and the plant, it could come back up again. So there's a possibility that you could have that. I don't suggest purchasing these to start off a fern collection. So that one is not an easy one to grow. And then you have your maidenhair fern. Look how beautiful this one is. Look at the little leaves that it has on there. This one is so unique. But as unique that it is, it's very picky. I have to say, out of all the ferns here, this is probably the most difficult to keep. It did dry out on me once. I had to snip everything down to the bottom and then allow time to start to grow back again. So this is the second time that I'm trying to maintain this fern. So this is the maidenhair fern, and again, missed a couple of times. I would probably miss this one 2 times and every day. I wouldn't let this one definitely dry up. On there. And then that brings me to my rabbit's foot fern. Rabbit's foot because it looks like rabbit's foot. And you see how it eventually, it kind of hangs out of the pot. So when this one matures, most likely these, it's called the rhizomes here, they're all going to be spilling over the pot. And then somehow morning glory seeds fell in here, and I've got morning glories growing on this one here. So again, it's just spraying, keeping that soil moist, and that's how you maintain the ferns. And the last fern that I have is actually in the library, and that's the asparagus fern. So let's head over to the library and I'll show you what that one looks like. Hey guys, so here are the last 2 ferns that I have for my collection. So these are the asparagus ferns, and they are here in my library. But look how beautiful and green that this one is. I'm trying to get the light to focus on here. So again, I started with this one very tiny. There were just a couple of little branches, you know, the fronds that it had. But with time, they have grown, and look at this, it's all the way down to the floor. And with this plant, you have to water daily because they can tend to dry up. So you see the inside in here? So you have to make sure that stays moist. So that way the leaves don't dry up. I've got a little dryness going on in here, as you can see. And then those little fronds tend to make it to the floor, as you can see here. So you have to keep sweeping this one, and just to make sure that you keep the place clean and you keep it from drying. So again, just plant the whole thing in the flower pot, continue to water, and these fronds will eventually grow out of there, and then they start off with tiny little fronds, little leaves on there, and then they get larger, and that can just keep growing. And then there's my other one back there, and then that one, it's in the same flower pot as my red banana tree that's growing in there. And that's the one I also have the ginger growing with that. And there you go. And that just spills right over, and with time it'll multiply, and this one is fuller than the other one. So you can actually just cut it back and it'll look a little bit more fuller, which I might just do with this one. So keep spraying, misting these daily, and just make sure that soil is moist so they don't dry up on you. So guys, so thank you for tuning into my channel. If you're coming in for the very first time, welcome. If you're coming back and you're a subscriber, hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, that notification, and don't forget to like. And I hope that this inspires you to start a fern collection. Again, you can start small and then just keep adding on. Don't start with that maidenhair fern because that one will be a headache for you. So start off again with something more simple. You got your Boston fern, but I do recommend probably your macho fern. This is probably the way to go. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode.